Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and again, we're here to share with you all the most important news about Real Madrid. And let me tell you what, today we had a very pretty interesting show because we will be talking about 5 different names, and all of them are regarding to whether signings or departures from Real Madrid, and I will explain you why. So let me get into the details because we will be talking about, let me give you a very brief introduction to the names. It's going to be Mariano Diaz, it's going to be Alexander-Arnold, it's going to be Tchouameni, and also Kylian Mbappe. So very interesting show, very interesting names. So let me get started with the first name, maybe the most important news that came out yesterday, because Mariano Diaz might be in the spotlight, might be in the loop of the new reach, actually, Newcastle United for the next season. Apparently, according to Team Talk, Newcastle owners are looking for signing a brand new striker for the new project, and Mariano Diaz might fit the expectations of the new owners of Newcastle United. So Newcastle United might be paying about 10 million euros for Mariano Diaz from Real Madrid. So what is my opinion about that? What is my take? I mean, do I think that they might go ahead and sign the Real Madrid player for the next season? Let me tell you what. To me, when you become the richest club in the world, I mean, we all know that Bin Salman is the name of the new owner of Newcastle United. They are throwing on the table about, I think it's like $430 billion or something like that. That is the new budget of Newcastle United. Of course, I mean, when you are 10 times richer than the second one, which is Manchester City, it is pretty obvious that you have money for every single player. You can afford every single player in this world. So to me, it doesn't make any sense to sign Mariano Diaz, who is a player that has been completely out of the spotlight, out of the squad over the last 4 years. It is a player that barely has played minutes in 4 years. I mean, he has played every time we couldn't count on Luka Jovic or Benzema, and then when he found the opportunity to play, he played about maybe 90 minutes, maybe 75 minutes, but just barely played over the last 4 years. So it is a player that is completely outdated. He might be very rusty. He has barely scored like 3-4 goals in 4 years. So how am I going to think that the Newcastle, the new project, I mean, with a lot of money, a lot of possibilities, a lot of chances to play and to sign the best players in the world, how am I going to think that they are thinking or considering the signing of Mariano Diaz? To me, that is impossible. I mean, because they have better options, they have better names on the market to go ahead and sign them for the next project. I mean, to me, everybody out there is talking about the possibility for Newcastle to gather all the best players in the world, like Leo Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, and all these names. And now this rumor just popped up about Mariano Diaz joining Newcastle United. To me, it's pretty much impossible, because to me, Newcastle might be thinking in much bigger and better players. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Mariano Diaz is a very low category or secondary category or a bad player or something like that. But the problem is that he has barely played over the last 4 years in Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that is, there's no way, there's no point in signing a player who barely plays. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what is going to happen. Maybe it happens. Maybe we see the Newcastle United signing to Mariano Diaz. But to me, it's a little bit difficult to assume that this player will be the next big star of Newcastle United, but the rumor is out there, so that's why I wanted to share with you all. So the next story I have for you guys, let's move on and let's talk about what a Turkish journalist claimed yesterday, because it's very important, because he's saying Alexander-Arnold is as well in the loop of Real Madrid for the next season. The reason for that is because, as you know, if there is a position where we are in really need of new signings and players and stuff, is the right back position. Right now, we only have Dani Carvajal, who is struggling over the last year. He has been struggling. He has been through a very tough process of multiple injuries. So we can count on him anymore, because you never know whether the player is going to be better or worse, or you never know, right? And the other player we have for that position is Lucas Vázquez, but of course he's playing completely out of position, because the natural position for Lucas Vázquez is like the forward, right winger, or whatever you want to call it, but not right back. You know what I'm saying? So Real Madrid essentially doesn't have player or natural players, natural right backs for that position. So that's why this journalist is claiming Real Madrid is monitoring and tracking Alexander-Arnold for the next season. The problem is Alexander-Arnold is a very important player for Liverpool, for Jurgen Klopp, and Jurgen Klopp doesn't want to get rid of this player because he's all the time in the starting 11 every single weekend in Liverpool. He's 23 years old, he's worth about 75 million, and he's one of the most important, and he has been one of the most important players for Liverpool over the last 4 to 5 years. So to me, there's no way, there's way to go ahead and sign the player, but it's going to be very difficult, because I don't think that Liverpool will be willing to negotiate for this player, who is one of the most and arguably one of the best right backs in the world. So they would be asking about, I don't know, maybe 90 million or something like that. The good news for Real Madrid is next year, although we are going to bring in a lot of new players and stuff like that, the thing is we won't have to pay for every single player we are bringing in. So for example, the only player we are paying for next year is going to be Erling Haaland, maybe 75 to 90 million, something like that. So to me, there's room enough for Real Madrid to sign and pay transfer fee and a good salary for more players, and that on those more, or some of those players might be another one, Alexander-Arnold. So we have money enough. Financial wise, we're good, we don't have any problem. But to me, the biggest obstacle when it comes to Alexander-Arnold, it is Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. That's it. So there's no more story behind that. So if we are able to convince Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool to negotiate for Alexander-Arnold, that'd be great. To me, that'd be one of the best possible signings for the right back in Real Madrid since the departure of Achraf Hakimi, who was completely unexpected to leave. Because to me, Achraf Hakimi was going to be one of the best, was going to become one of the biggest and more important players and best players in the right back for Real Madrid, but he finally ended playing for Inter de Milan, and now he's playing for Paris Saint-Germain, so there's nothing we can do about that. And now we have to reinforce that position. So Alexander-Arnold, to me, it is the second best choice for Real Madrid after Achraf Hakimi. So let's see what happened. Let's see if this is true or is just speculation or rumor. So now let's move on and let's keep talking about more stuff. And this time I will be talking about Tchouameni. Tchouameni, it is, the rumor about Tchouameni came out from José Félix Díaz in Diario Marca today. José Félix Díaz is claiming Real Madrid is in the fight, is in the race for signing Tchouameni, the center midfielder from Monaco, against Juventus de Turin and Chelsea, who are also very interested in signing the player. This player is a very good player because he's a super young player, 21 years old, and he has been performing really well in the national team of France during this international break, and Real Madrid might be interested in signing for the next year. The thing is, Casemiro is not, I'm not going to say he's completely, he's playing horrible or something like that, but Casemiro is a more defensive player, and Carlo Ancelotti might be looking for a kind of different player for that position. Casemiro is fine when it comes to steal the ball and block the whole way, and try to stop every single counter attack from the rivals. But when it comes to get the ball and get away with it, it's a little bit more problematic because he is not talented enough to do that. For example, Antonio Blanco is much better in that aspect than Casemiro. To me, is way better actually. So Tchouameni apparently has both. He's very defensive, but also he knows what to do with the ball in the feet. You know, he has a lot of ideas. He thinks up front, and he's always looking for the best chance before to pass the ball, take the ball, and all the stuff. So he's always monitoring and scanning the situation to see what player is in the best position to receive the ball, and he knows what to do with that. It's a little bit better than Casemiro in this aspect, right? The other thing is the player is much younger than Casemiro, so he might be really good for that position of defensive midfielder or whatever you want to call it. And Antonio Blanco, apparently the plan for him is to keep playing for Castilla until the end of the season, and right after that Real Madrid will think about what is the future of Antonio Blanco in Real Madrid, whether to keep him in the first team or maybe keep him in the second team. I don't know, but Tchouameni, according to Jose Felix Diaz, is in the radar, is in the spotlight of Real Madrid for the next year. And now let's move on and let's just start talking about the exclusive news that Eduardo Inda delivered last night in El Chiringuito, because it is very interesting because he was talking about Kylian Mbappe and he brought in a couple stories, a couple things that we might keep in mind. The first one, it is apparently Mbappe has already said the Kylian Benzema that he will play for Real Madrid, he will sign for Real Madrid next year. Apparently the thing that he wants the most is to sign for Real Madrid in the next winter market, but that is pretty much, I mean, to me it is pretty much impossible. It is going to be very difficult because Real Madrid in that case will have to pay still like 75-80 millions for the player, and to me the plan for Kylian Mbappe from a Real Madrid perspective is to sign a pre-agreement with the player in January and then bring him in June, in summer, to Real Madrid and start the season with Real Madrid, but the next year, right? Not this year. That is number one. So Mbappe already has said to Karim Benzema that he will be playing in Real Madrid next year. And the second news, the second story that Eduardo Inda brought into El Chiringuito, it is the new renewal offer PSG will put on the table for Kylian Mbappe. Apparently, according to Eduardo Inda, Paris Saint-Germain wants to pay about 45 million after taxes per season to Kylian Mbappe for the next 4 years, which means about 225 million for these 4 years. I mean, for the whole contract, which is a lot of money, and of course it is something that nobody else would refuse. But Kylian Mbappe is a completely different story, because for Kylian Mbappe, as you know, the most important for him is to play in Real Madrid, and regardless the amount of money the Paris Saint-Germain wants to throw on the table for renewing the contract of Kylian Mbappe, he will be playing for Real Madrid next year, and there's nothing Paris Saint-Germain can do about that. What he also said as well, Eduardo Inda, it is that Newcastle apparently is also interested in Kylian Mbappe, but just not only because of the money, it is also because of the politics. And it's funny because apparently this new Saudi Arabia investment fund is a big enemy, rival, or whatever you want to call it, of Qatar. Qatar is the country that owns Paris Saint-Germain. So that is this kind of rivalry might end seeing how Kylian Mbappe signs for Newcastle. But there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to Kylian Mbappe in Newcastle, because, I mean, for Los Madridistas, we have to be and rest assured that Kylian Mbappe wants to play for Real Madrid, and it really doesn't matter how much money these new Newcastle owners throw on the table for Kylian Mbappe, because if he wants to play for Real Madrid, there's nothing they can do about that. It is the same thing than PSG. There's nothing they can do. I mean, there's no money enough on this world to throw on the table to retain Kylian Mbappe in Paris Saint-Germain. So that's why all those Madridistas, we have to be, I mean, just relax and no worries at all, because we trust in the desire of Kylian Mbappe to play for Real Madrid. And that is pretty much what I had for you all guys today about Eduardo Inda, Kylian Mbappe, Tchouameni, and of course Mariano Diaz and stuff like that. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below, and of course subscribe to this channel, Real Madrid Hub.